Good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to Tech Academy. My name is Adam Laverne. In today's episode of Tech Academy, we're going to walk through and we're going to look at scaling your fulfillment with techOMS. So what does that mean, scaling your fulfillment? Well, first and foremost, techOMS provides what we call multi-channel synchronization. If you take a look here, you can see the different order sources, shopping carts, marketplaces, etc. We refer to those as sales channels. Within techOMS, you can have multiple sales channels connected to a single account. Why? This provides you with a single view of all orders, order sources, and inventory. So again, you can see here from a structural perspective, your sales channels connect in through techOMS. And then when we talk about scaling, starting off small, maybe you're connected to a single Shopify or WooCommerce. As your business grows, as your market share grows, perhaps you're a brand connecting to multiple retailers. Now you're introducing EDI, perhaps Commerce Hub, and other platforms or sales channels connecting to a single fulfillment center. As you continue to experience further growth, you may outgrow a single fulfillment center, or you may start looking at leveraging east-west shipping through multiple fulfillment channels. So again, if you look on the right-hand side of the slide, you'll notice that there's multiple fulfillment channels connected in this view or structure within techOMS. Now, these multiple fulfillment channels, this could be a single company. You could be a fulfiller with multiple locations connecting to a brand who has multiple sales channels. You could be a retailer who's using techOMS as your order management system with your multiple shopping carts and sales channels. Each of these fulfilling centers may be either owned, maybe a 3PL, or maybe a mix of both owned location as well as multiple 3PLs. Again, techOMS is agnostic when it comes to WMS systems. You're able to connect multiple locations, be it owned locations, first party, or 3PL fulfillers at ease with varying WMS systems quickly and easily. So again, as your business grows, as your business scales, you're able to attach additional fulfillment nodes. What does that look like when we get into techOMS? Within techOMS, you'll notice, we'll start with the sales channels. You'll notice you have multiple sales channels connected within a single account. This could be a retailer, Adams Chocolates, and I may have multiple sales channels selling on WooCommerce, Amazon, Faire, Shopify, etc. I could be a 3PL fulfiller where my client is Adams Chocolates, whom are selling on as described sales channels. And then again, when we look at the fulfillment channel side of it, so the connectivity, you'll notice we've got a number of different warehouses. We've got an east warehouse, a west warehouse, a central Ontario warehouse, and a what we call central Montreal warehouse. If we look at these 4 Canadian warehouses, you can see there's different connectivity methods. One's on Synapse, one's on Extensive. One is using our own in-house proprietary connector called Integrated Flow. So again, the idea here is as your business scales, as you add more shopping carts, marketplaces, aka sales channels, and as you start fulfilling more orders, we support the expansion of multiple fulfillment nodes, again, WMS independent. When it comes to your sales orders, you can see the sales channel. This is my demo environment, so we use it for a lot of testing. We've recently been doing some extensive integration manager testing. That said, you can see the different sources for your orders. And then when you look at the inventory levels are based off of your fulfillment locations and are shared across all of your sales channels. Multi-channel synchronization refers to the sales channels. Let's actually jump back to the PowerPoint slide. Multi-channel synchronization refers to your sales channels, your shopping carts, your marketplaces that are connected into techOMS. That single view of all orders, order sources, and that single inventory connected to all of these different sales channels. When we talk about growth and scaling your fulfillment with techOMS, we also just finished talking about multiple fulfillment centers. The ability for a brand, retailer, or fulfiller to quickly and easily connect to new independent TechOMS systems, fulfilling nodes, and attach that to each account quickly and easily. Scale on your order source, scale on your fulfillment source. When we talk about the multi-channel synchronization, we talk about inventory. Another key feature really comes to play here. And that's what we call our real-time inventory updates or synchronization. What does that mean? It means when you get an order, say you've got WooCommerce and Shopify connected to techOMS. When you receive an order from WooCommerce, you receive 10 lightsabers, order for 10 red lightsabers. techOMS receives that order, allocates the order, creates a shipment, sends the shipment to the warehouse for fulfillment. Upon creating the allocation, techOMS also sends an inventory adjustment to Shopify, reducing the available to promise, reducing the inventory available for that fulfillment location by the 10 units, aka the order received from WooCommerce. Why do we do this? It allows techOMS to keep the inventory for all sales channel synchronized in real time. From a fulfiller perspective, from a brand or a retailer perspective, the benefit to you is maximize sales potential while reducing the risk of overselling. So again, really simple, clean, easy feature within techOMS. The benefit of this feature is in real time as orders are received from one sales channel, techOMS is updating every other connected sales channels to reduce that inventory, that available to promise, so it keeps it consistent across the board. Now, if we jump back to techOMS, when we talk about scaling your fulfillment with techOMS, there's a couple other things that really come to play. The first one we have would be our directional order management, aka order routing. Within order routing, there's two methods to do so. The first method is a static method where you can define locations. If, and you can see in this first example, if the order comes from a particular province and we validate that there's enough stock within the Western warehouse attached to these provinces, if those conditions are true, we'll route the order to the West. This is a static rule. If the ship to address is not a Western province, or there's not sufficient inventory within that Western warehouse to fulfill the order in completion or in totality, we'll then move that to the next condition, which looks at Eastern Canada, Eastern provinces. Same thing, validates that there's sufficient stock in the Eastern warehouse. If it's not a West order, or there's not enough inventory, is it an East order? If yes, and there's enough inventory, we'll route that to the East Coast warehouse. If either of these conditions fail on the enough stock, or if the address does not match a West province or an East province, we've put in an error handling, which means if it doesn't match on the first two, we'll consider that a central order or a failover order, in which case we'll route it to our Ontario warehouse. So again, a very basic static order routing rule. A more advanced routing rule would be our time in transit. The advantage of time in transit is it uses our TechShip program, our rate shopping software, to dynamically route orders based off of a defined criteria. So quite simply, when we run through the decision logic, we validate the cost of shipping, we identify the warehouses. Each warehouse can have its own unique assigned priority. I'll touch on that more later. We validate the cost of shipping in the warehouse. We then validate the enough stock functions? Does each warehouse have sufficient inventory to fulfill the order? If yes, we proceed down the decision tree. If no, in this case here, we actually split the shipment. We'll touch on that in future episodes. Let's just stick with the happy path of yes. So again, we calculate the stock available. We calculate the time in transit for that order, and then we get to the warehouse selection. In the warehouse selection, there's three mechanisms or a selection criteria you can use. The first one being warehouse priority. This is as you define your warehouse priorities. Think if you are using your own warehouse versus a 3PL, perhaps the carrying cost in the 3PL is higher. Therefore, you want to exit the inventory from the 3PL before you deal or remove inventory for your own location. That's where you'd use warehouse priority. Typically in hard goods, where most of my experience lies, you'd use lowest cost of shipping. Why? Well, shipping is your biggest line item on your P&L. So obviously, you want to minimize your cost of shipping where possible. But if you're looking at something perishable, you may choose instead shortest time in transit. Now, if we stick with lowest cost of shipping for a moment, in the event of a tie, techOMS is going to select the location as a secondary criteria. It will select the location with the shortest estimated time of delivery. So if two fulfillment locations come back and the cost of delivery is the same, $8. techOMS will then look at the estimated time of delivery, and with the estimated time of delivery, we'll select the one that is shorter. The inverse happens for shortest time in transit. Shortest time in transit uses the estimated delivery date or days as its primary identifier. When there's a tie, so you have two locations that can get the order delivered by May 30th, tomorrow, techOMS will then look at cost, and it will select the location that has the lowest estimated cost of delivery. Again, whether you're leading with time or you're leading with cost, both of them are relevant pieces of information and are relevant to factor into that routing decision. And then we get into some additional actions after you select the warehouse. For example, you're able to override the carrier and service information on the order with what has come back from the time of transit call. Additionally, you can add order references. In this case here, what you're able to do is you're able to select the delivery date, select the delivery days. You're able to add the delivery cost as a reference field. We'll stick with delivery date and delivery days. So the order routing, whether static or dynamic, is designed to optimize your directional order management. So send orders to the location best matching your fulfillment goals. We continue to help you scale your business and optimize your growth down the same path. We'll continue with the order rules. Why? Because that optimized workflow process is really going to help reduce onboarding time for new staff. It's going to help you as a fulfiller or as a customer who is paying a fulfiller. It's going to help you with reduction in labor. It's going to help reduce costly picking errors. And ultimately, this is going to lead to improved customer satisfaction. What are some of the things you're able to do with the rules engine to help scale orders? Well, first and foremost, use my phone, has a lithium battery. It needs a placard on the outside of the package. Without a placard on the outside of the package, you risk a fine from the carrier. You're able to do, rather than rely on rote memory retention, that your picker is able to remember this, or that your shipper is able to validate quickly what's in the box and add the label as required, you can create this rule within techOMS where, in this case, it's 3 different Bluetooth speakers. If any of these Bluetooth speakers are present on the order, add that lithium ion sticker to the order as a pickable SKU. Again, I come back to your pickers should not have to know the product that they're picking to be able to pick successfully. In this case here, the add line action adds this SKU to the order, passes this order to your WMS. So when you're picking by device, not only do you have to scan the speaker, the Bluetooth speaker, but you also have to scan the barcode for the sticker to complete that pick. It's Higgins staff onboarding. It reduces the amount of scenarios that they need to remember, or the decision tree they need to remember from a pick perspective. It reduces labor. You're no longer having to sit there and refer back to your notes. Oh, is it this? If so, then that, right? Takes away that choose your own adventure. And again, reduces picking errors. We talk about lithium-ion battery, but this could equally be something on the food side. For example, we're getting into a time of year where it's getting hot, especially down in southern states. Maybe you're picking chocolates. Maybe you want to add a rule that if the state shipped to is Texas, Florida, Arizona, or California, and the SKU equals your chocolate SKU, maybe you want to add an extra ice pack. Well, this is a rule that you can quickly and easily do within techOMS that automates that pick within your WMS. Your pickers don't need to stop and look to see where the order is going to successfully pick and add the extra coolant. You can do this on the fly. We're coming up on June, put this rule in June, July, August, turn it off at the end of August when it's no longer required. Again, techOMS will automatically add that to the ice pack. When we talk about things that we can quickly and easily do within techOMS to automate process flows, reduce labor, streamline onboarding, and help you scale your business, along that same token, from a perishable perspective, you can use expected delivery days. Here you can see the expected delivery days in this rule on the outset is 3. If the order is going to take 3 days to deliver, you can create a packaging rule that adds 3 ice packs and an insulated package to the order. Now you're getting into being able to create packaging SOPs within limits based off of estimated days of delivery. 1 day, add a single ice pack. 3 days, move to an insulated package and 3 ice packs. You're able to tailor and taper the coolant, the packaging, etc., based off of other automation rules within techOMS. Rather than just throw 3 ice packs in every single order, you want to be judicious with the use of packaging materials. Optimize that profitability. Make sure the order is packaged sufficiently, but just sufficiently, right? Every time you add an ice pack, you're adding a cost component to it, not only the cost of the pick, but the physical cost of the ice pack. So again, using order rules and continuing to optimize this workflow, maybe you start with a couple SOPs, and then as you see how that works, you start looking at whether the next ones from a continuous improvement perspective we can further tweak and improve on. But again, come back to the 3 real key factors and focuses for the order rules is automating manual tasks to reduce onboarding time for new staff, reduce labor by removing the choose your own adventure or the need for the picker to look at the product, understand the destination, and make their own decisions based off of that, and reduce costly picking errors. When we talk about other things we can do to help achieve all of these, let me find my third-party rule. Here's an example where if the carrier ID doesn't equal rate shop, you can force rate shopping. But let's actually rebuild this and show you how quick it is to build a rule. The first condition we're going to use is the sales channel. So the sales channel equals EdStore. Now EdStore is unique. EdStore has a discounts with a particular carrier. Store has a global agreement where they use FedEx Express. They get the express service for no cost fee because of volume. So we're going to use FedEx Express, and now we're going to set the third-party account because it's a third-party account that we're shipping on. Third party. Now, what we've done is we've created a rate shopping rule that forces third-party shipping. Why is this important? Because when this rule is run and this rule is enabled, when any order comes in for EdStore, techOMS will automatically override the carrier and service with FedEx as a carrier and FedEx Express as a service, and will then attach the third-party carrier information, account number, etc., to this order. So when it pushes it to the WMS for fulfillment, all of this information is already attached. When you get to the point of shipping this order, you no longer have to worry about logging out of the account you're in, right? You might be shipping with Purelator, you might be shipping with UPS. You no longer have to have that decision tree taped to the side of the shipping station saying if the order originates from EdStore, use third-party account XYZ. If you're using TechShip as your shipping engine or another similar shipping engine, it'll be able to pick up these values right from the order and automatically change the carrier and make it a third-party billable. So again, simplifying the process for the staff, reducing the labor in that if you're shipping 500 orders a day, you're not having to stop and look to see who the source is, what the destination is, etc. And then by assigning the third-party carrier information, it's reducing costs and mistakes, leading to improved customer satisfaction at all turns. Additional examples we see when we talk about continuous improvement, as you get familiar with the order rules, we have customers that start asking themselves, okay, well, what's next? What else can I do with this? I've dealt with the first 80% of my problems. Now, what are the next 80% of my problems I want to tackle in that continuous improvement loop? What we've seen is some examples include expanding reference information. In techOMS, you pass references as an order rule. So it's a similar SOP that we had for packaging information, but rather than pass it as a line item on the pickable SKU, we're going to pass it as a reference. In this case here, you can see that the code is packaging and the value in this case is 3 ice packs and an insulated package. Well, you can start passing additional reference information. You could pass carrier and service. Is it, if it's an express service, you could have that reference information flagged as an express service, pass that to the WMS. Why? Well, carrier and service is actually a great example. We'll stick with the FedEx one from a workflow perspective. FedEx Express is a separate truck and a separate pickup versus ground. If you're passing information to your WMS and you're already providing that FedEx ground versus FedEx Express, means in your WMS, what you're able to do is you're able to start creating picking batches or pick waves, where your first pick wave of the day will be your express pick wave. While that hits pack out and is being packaged, your second pick wave would be your standard pick wave. Why? Typically, FedEx Express comes earlier in the day. What you're doing is you're giving yourself more time to get your express orders packed and prepped and ready to go. But also in peak season, if you can't hit 100% SLA, where everything that you received yesterday, today by 10 a.m. is now shipped by end of day, if you're going to have to slide on an SLA, typically ground orders or regular orders don't have as rigorous an SLA. So it allows you to focus on your express orders, which are typically your priority customers, get those out the door first, with your standard orders following in close succession. Here's an example, continuous improvement. creating and passing packaging guidelines based off of estimated delivery lead times. It's a perfect example of continuous improvement. And then as you work with this over weeks and months, you might decide to tweak either the number of ice packs added, or you might start bringing different product mixes into this, or a mix of refrigerated plus dry or refrigerated plus frozen, and tweak it further. Similarly, identifying the third-party shipping accounts and passing that information on with the order drastically simplifies the shipping process. Lots of opportunity for continuous improvement and betterment. We come back. What was the key we started out with? How does techOMS help scale your business? Well, simple. We allow you to scale your business by quickly and easily connecting multiple sales channels, shopping carts, marketplaces to your account within techOMS. So again, as your sales order input grows, you pull that into techOMS, giving you a central location to manage orders, reorder source, manage inventory. As your sales grow, your need for fulfillment and likely multiple fulfillment locations will also grow. Quickly and easily connecting additional fulfillment nodes into techOMS. From there, we talk about real-time inventory and how that real-time inventory synchronization allows your business to scale quickly and easily, maximizing sales. When an order comes in from location 1, techOMS will update the available to promise in all locations in real time. So maximizing your sales potential by making 100% of your inventory available across all channels while reducing your risk of overselling. As you're moved from a single fulfillment center to multiple fulfillment centers, we now need to consider order routing, whether we're leveraging static routing or connected with TechShip, leveraging dynamic order routing. The intent is to send orders to the location best matching your fulfillment goals. And then lastly, using the order rules to automate manual tasks within techOMS, reducing onboarding, reducing labor, reducing costly picking errors, leading to improved customer satisfaction. And then this becomes a continuous improvement loop. When you identify opportunity, tweak the opportunity, work with the system, as your sales grow, as your fulfillment orders grow, you come back to those order rules. You come back to that order routing. You might start off with static routing because you have 2 locations, but next year you add a 3rd location, perhaps you add a 4th during peak, and suddenly dynamic rules make a lot more sense. There's a cost benefit of using dynamic order routing versus static order routing. So again, that continuous improvement continuous improvement loop becomes critical and paramount. That takes me to the end of what I wanted to cover off today. I'm going to turn to the audience and see if anyone has any questions for us. All right, let me go to the chat and see what I have in the chat. Okay, first question. Does the use of an order delay impact real-time inventory synchronization? That's a great question. The short answer is yes. You're able to delay picking up orders in techOMS. For example, in Shopify, you find that most order edits and changes happen within the first hour of the order being placed. To avoid duplicate entry and having to make edits in Shopify and then mirror those edits in OMS, you delay picking up orders for 2 hours. During that 2-hour delay, the allocation and the real-time inventory synchronization is also delayed. Yes, it would have a risk of overallocation when you're using a delay. When looking at an order delay, you have to weigh cost benefit. What's the cost of doing it versus what's the benefit of doing it? Okay, question 2. What if we want to add a fulfillment channel using a WMS that's not currently supported in techOMS? Good news, we build them. You work with your account executive, submit the request to them with ask for API documentation, and then we review that internally and come back with a scope. if it's a one-off WMS or something that is a bit obscure, there may be a small charge with that. If it's a mainstream WMS that we don't have, likely we'll build it for you and test it with you. But again, that's a quick and easy conversation with your accounts executive as we get into additional plugins and what have you from the developer perspective. I think that's it for questions in the chat. Thanks for joining today. Again, my name is Adam Laverne, and this was Tech Academy, scaling your fulfillment within techOMS.